Hey, Ducks fans, welcome back. This is episode 3 of Off the Fowl Pole, our segment where we chat with several notable Ducks alumni. And today we have another very special guest. Say hello to the great shortstop, number 12, two-time Atlantic League champion, Dan Lyons. Dan, thank you so much for joining us from your home in Minnesota.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
It's been a little while since we've been able to chat. The last time we saw you at the Duck Pond was during the 20th anniversary celebration back in August of 2019. So I guess we'll start off by just asking, how's everything been for you this past year? I know you started a new opportunity. How much have you enjoyed that new role that you're in?
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I took a position last fall at the University of West Alabama as the assistant baseball coach, and I enjoy it a lot. It's a lot different, obviously than playing. Gives you sort of a different perspective on the game and preparation, and just seeing sort of the other side of it. I get a chance to work with a lot of good young ball players that have the ambitions that I had when I was growing up, so I can sort of help guide them through that path of being the best ball player they can be. And it's been very rewarding. I've been a little over a year into it, and I'm still learning. But I am really enjoying it. I'm having a good time, and we'll see where it goes. But it's certainly been fun. It's been interesting, and I do enjoy this new gig I got down in Alabama.
Yeah, and the most important thing is fun. And for me, we've seen you play for so many years, especially here on Long Island. You grew up in Minnesota. You played for so many years on Long Island. You've pretty much been a northern guy most of your life. Now all of a sudden you're down south in Alabama. Kind of just tell me how that process played out, where this opportunity arose, and how you ended up getting to that role.
Well, when I was done playing out in Long Island, I decided at towards the second half of that 2018 season that I was going to hang them up and go back to school. I needed to finish school and get my degree, so I went back to the University of Minnesota. I finished up in the 2019 spring and had a chance to be a student assistant on the baseball team there, which was a great experience. Head coach John Anderson has been there, man, for about 40 years now. As the head coach, and he's a great guy to learn from. He's got so much baseball knowledge, and
he was your head coach, and then you got a chance to work on his staff.
Yes, yeah, he
awesome.
He was my head coach. And the assistant coach that was there when I was playing, Rob Fornacier, he wasn't there. He had just retired the year before I got there, but he was instrumental in sort of helped guide me through the coaching process, and especially in college, and having that experience helped out a lot. And once I got my degree, I was just throwing applications all across the country, seeing what would stick. And I didn't realize it going into it how competitive college coaching is. There could be 100 job openings, and head coaches or athletic directors won't even sniff at your application. There's just so many good names out there, so many guys with a lot of experience. And I was sort of leaning on my playing experience because I didn't have a whole lot of coaching experience, but I was able to learn from a lot of coaches that do, and that know what they're talking about. And I think I know what I'm talking about from playing for so many years.
I'd say so.
But yeah, so I, just throwing applications all around the country, and, one stuck at West Alabama, and was able to talk with them a little bit. And, I think their philosophies line up a lot with mine, and it's been a good fit. Head coach Gary Rundle's down there has run a great program. He's been down there for 20 years, and he's run a great program. He's got a great reputation, and he knows a lot about the game. And, like I said, I'm continuing to learn and get better as a coach, and sort of understanding that there is a learning curve to coaching, just like there is from playing. And I do enjoy it. I am lucky to have this opportunity, because not a lot of guys, as their first gig, get something like this. so, I am thankful for it, and certainly taking advantage of it.
That's awesome. No, it's awesome to have that role, especially so fresh after your playing career, and to be doing something that you love too. I know coronavirus really hasn't helped a lot of these programs across the country in being able to play, and really kind of when things started picking up was right around the beginning of that West Alabama season. So tell me a little bit about how many games you guys were able to play, and how tough it was to have a season kind of cut short because of COVID, and have all your plans altered.
Yeah. Well, we didn't, when we first started hearing rumors about the virus and nobody really knew what was going on or how bad it was, we were just sort of like, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to get us. And, you started hearing about different teams and conferences canceling their season. And then it's like, well, you sort of get that, if one team cancels, another team cancels, right, one league cancels, and everyone starts to follow suit. And, we were able to get 20 games into the season before our season came to a halt. We have a 50-game regular season schedule, so
wow,
2/5 of our season we were able to get in, and we weren't able to play the rest of the 30. But we had sort of a rocky start to that season. We did play some tough competition early. That's one thing about playing in the South, is there are a lot of good teams down here.
Not a question.
But yeah, so we sort of, we were getting ready to play a weekend series, and we got a call from the athletic director, saying to just sort of hang tight. We're going to get some news about what's going on. And as soon as we heard that, it's like, man, it's, just sort of watching what was going on around the country and other leagues. It's like, that doesn't sound good. And then we had to, have the meeting with our players that, at first I think they said we're going to take a 2-week break, and just see if it settles down, and if it does, we'll pick up in 2-3 weeks or a month or whatever, and try to see what we can salvage of the season. But as we all saw what happened, that it didn't work out that way. So the good thing from it is the NCAA did allow all of the players to get that year of eligibility back. But, again, some of the seniors on our team that, they're getting ready to prepare for the future, and, they've got jobs and internships lined up, and, it just wasn't in the cards for them to finish out their senior season. And my heart goes out to them, because they're, those guys, I was in their shoes too. And those guys look forward to that senior season so much. And, it just sort of, it gets taken away from them, and, you can't really say anything, but sorry, it is what it is. And it's tough to hear, and it was tough too, as, my first season as a coach, sort of going through that, because I didn't really get the full experience, I guess you could say, of coaching that full season, and trying to build up momentum towards a playoff run and all that stuff. But, I don't think, I don't think that'd be a big issue, as much as it is, hard on the players, and hoping that they're able to bounce back. And, a lot of the high school players that we're recruiting, we got to wait and see what our returning players are going to do, and how much room we have on our roster. And there's just a whole lot of other things that we have to look at, as far as building a team for the future. And the guys that really sort of got hurt the most was the high school seniors.
Yeah. No question.
Because those guys probably lost most, if not all, of their season, as high school seniors. And then, that the virus played a big role in the recruiting process as well. I know that as a coach, I know junior colleges are stacked up right now. They've got so many guys on their roster, and they can only put 9 out on the field at a time too. So, it's caused a lot of problems. They've had some leniency with eligibility, but, you sort of get a little bit of a log jam with a lot of the younger players, and
it's a challenge for sure.
It's a big challenge, and just hoping that it doesn't harm their development, which I don't think it will. Opportunity, I guess it could harm some of their opportunity, but that's what competition is all about. And this virus is throwing a wrench in things, and it's all about adapting to it, your adversities, and and, seeing how mentally tough some of these guys are, and we'll find out.
One thing that I know for a lot of college kids that I'm sure they're very interested in, college ball players, is this new MLB Draft League that was just recently announced as part of the minor league baseball restructuring, and having a chance for a lot of these players, once they're done with their college seasons, to get a chance to play some games in a wood bat league with that opportunity to showcase themselves before the draft. As a college coach, does that excite you for your players?
I think it's probably a good opportunity. I haven't looked too much into that league, to be honest with you. I have heard about it. I'm not sure exactly how it's set up. As far as being affiliated with the MLB, or how they're sort of running it, or what type of players they're looking into. But some of these summer leagues too. I mean, that's another thing that was hurt from the virus. And I'd love to see our guys get as much opportunity as they can. I want to see them play as much as they can, and showcase what they've got. If their dream is to get drafted, I think that's a great idea to help them get exposure. They'll get a decent amount of exposure during the spring, but to just give them all the tools that they would need to help live out their dreams, I think is a good idea.
Well, certainly best of luck in that new coaching role, I'm sure. Hopefully everything will be able to get back to normal come this spring or summer, and you'll be able to get that first full season in as a coach in the college ranks for sure. So I want to now go back to your time with the Ducks. Of course, you spent 8 years on Long Island, just memorable seasons for sure with this team. And it all started in 2011. And I think that was the most interesting year, because you joined the team. You were one of several notable infielders on that roster, but there was such great talent on that group that it was hard to find consistent playing time. Injuries happen. You find your way into the starting lineup on a consistent basis, and you perform to the point where you were playing on a regular basis, and obviously ended up catching the eye of Kevin Baez in the Ducks front office. What was your mindset in that 2011 season, knowing how much talent was on that team, to be able to get through it, knowing that your opportunity would still come at some point?
Well, when I was released by the Nationals in the spring of that 2011 season, right at the end of spring training, and I was talking to a few different independent leagues, trying to figure out what I was going to do, and when Mike Pfaff called me, he explained to me what they had, because I believe the Ducks had already started spring training, or were just about to start, because I remember I came in late. I wasn't able to play in any of the preseason games because I hadn't got there yet, but. He explained the situation. I did my research too on the Atlantic League, and how it is the top tier independent league. And, in order for me to showcase my talents and what I had, I wanted to play against the best players that I could. And that was the opportunity. And I knew going into it that I was going to be the next infielder off the bench. Like you said, we had a lot of good players. I think, the way that we hit that year offensively was unreal. Probably the best team I've been on,
right.
And I knew that I'd get my chances here and there, in different positions. And I think we started off the season out in Bridgeport. I didn't play at all there. And then we went to Camden. I think that was when I got my opportunity. I remember our starting shortstop, Javi Kalina, had some injury. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he went down for about a week and a half. And that sort of allowed me to get in there and show what I could do at shortstop. And, I held down the position well. I was able to get some hits and make a couple good plays. And, I think that sort of showed Kevin that I could play there a little bit, and given him a little more confidence that he could put me out there and not have to worry about anything going wrong.
Right.
But yeah, it's all about just getting your opportunity, and when you get it, you got to take advantage of it. And I was able to do that. I was fortunate. Another guy who was in my position that year was Craig Binnick. Yep. He came in, as that next outfielder off the bench, and I think he ended up leading the league in hitting that year, or the year after, I think. But he had an amazing year, and he worked himself into an everyday player too. And we were both sort of in the same boat. And that's the thing. You just gotta make sure that when you get that opportunity, you take advantage of it, and you don't waste it.
All right. So now you obviously have gone on to so many great things with the Ducks. You've won a couple championships. Does it still sting, though, knowing that that 2011 team was arguably, if not the best team that you played on, that it didn't end in the title that year?
Yeah, it does a little bit. I think, I mean, that year it just wasn't in the cards, but the whole season we went through, we dominated the first half, dominated the second half, dominated the first round of the playoffs, and everything was trending in that direction. And we had all the confidence in the world, and I don't think we were overconfident at all. We had confidence throughout the whole season, and it served us well. We just got to a position where we faced a team that was hot and we faced a team that was pitching well. We played York, and they brought in a couple pitchers that we hadn't seen yet in the regular season, and they got the best of us. Our offense, we'd put up 8, 9, 10 runs a game, and we go out and we score 1, 2, or 3, and you're not gonna win a whole lot of ball games when your team's identity is putting up a ton of runs, and that's just how it was. It does sting a little bit, because I do think that we had the best team that year. We just didn't play the best when we needed to.
Take me now to the next year, and of course there were so many things that happened in 2012 that everybody's going to remember what ended up being voted by the fans as the most memorable moment in franchise history during our competition back in the spring, and that was the bunt. So of everything that happened this year, it all came down to ninth inning, game 5 of the Atlantic League Championship Series, the winning runs at third base. The top of the inning, of course, was the throw that had just gotten away from Brandon Singh that allowed the Barnstormers to tie the game. What's going through your mind as you're walking up to the plate at Bethpage Ballpark?
Well, I just wanted to make up for what happened in the top of the inning. I wanted to get a hit. If I couldn't get a hit, I wanted to walk so that we can get the top of the order back up and try to win the game. And actually when I came up to the plate, it was runner on second base. So I was trying to get, I was trying to find a hole in the infield that I could get a hit, and Esquivel was on second base, and he could run. So I knew if I gave him an opportunity to score on a base hit, that I think he could have done it. Especially with 2 outs, and he'd be off on the crack of the bat too. But that was my mentality. I was trying to get a hit. I was trying to find a good pitch, and they brought in a pitcher that struck me out on 3 pitches the night before, and I think that's why they brought him in, is because he had a really good slider, and he got me 3 pitches the previous night, and I knew that's what he was going to do. I knew that's what he was going to throw me. And the first pitch went to the backstop because he threw that slider in the dirt, and it got past the catcher and allowed the runners to move up. And the second pitch was down in the dirt as well. So the catcher blocked that one, but I knew that it's, you throw 2 pitches in the dirt, you're not going to go back to it. So I knew I was going to get a pitch to hit right there. And just sort of like I always do, I always scan around the infield and the outfield to see where everyone's playing. And I noticed the third baseman was back, and just thought that if there's any time to do it, it's now. Just like I thought, it was a fastball right down the middle. He was, the pitcher was 0-2 on the number 9 hitter, and you don't want to walk the number 9 hitter in that situation. You want to go get him, especially when the top of the order is so hot. So I knew I'd get a pitch right there that I'd be able to put down, and third baseman was back, and I was able to get it right on the line there, and that's all she wrote.
As you cross, well, actually, before I get to that, you had talked about, I think previously, that you've not necessarily practiced it, but you've thought about doing it previous to the actual bunt. In fact, I remember you had mentioned something about game 2 of that series, where of course you had the 9th inning bases loaded double that won you guys the game. And was it that game that you had thought about potentially doing it, or was it a different game?
I don't think.
I know it's hard to remember now, but
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think the situation of that game too. I knew I had the bases loaded in the 9th inning in that game. Were we down?
We were tied at that. The Ducks and the Barnstormers were tied at that point. I think Tim Hamulak was pitching.
Okay, yeah, I think it probably was then that I was considering it, but I think I was thinking about the pitcher too. He was really tough to hit. I'd have to see the ball really well to be able to put it down in that situation. And if I didn't put it down, I didn't want to get too far behind in the count. Right. I think the situation sort of dictates what you do. And in game 5, the situation was perfect. I had strikes to work with, in case I didn't get it down.
Right.
I don't remember how the sequence of pitches went in that game 2 at bat, but I thought that I did consider it. I do remember now I did consider it, but I thought that it probably wasn't the best in that situation to try to do that, and I should just try to get a hit, and that worked out too. So.
Hey, listen, you saved it for the most dramatic moment, and it worked. Yep. And to this day, is the only championship ever clinched on the Ducks' home field that the Ducks have clinched. So yep. That's pretty impressive stuff. When you hit first base, there's that iconic photo of you in right field, hands pumped in the air with Joe Ashbrodeen going to hug you from behind. Just what's the thought at that point? Did it take a second or two to realize, oh my goodness, I just won us the championship with a bunt?
No, I knew it as soon as I put the bunt down.
Wow.
I just had to make sure that Escobar saw it okay and went and scored. But he was joking about it afterwards, saying that what if I didn't go? I'd be like, well, I'd be pretty pissed if you didn't go, because that was
2 outs. Yeah.
But no, in that situation, I knew as soon as I put it down that the game was over. And as I was running to first base, I could see. I always watch the first baseman to see his reaction, like if he's getting ready to stretch for a throw, where he's getting ready to stretch. And as soon as I got about halfway up the line, he just started walking off of the base, because he knew it was over. So as soon I saw that, and I knew there wasn't even going to be a throw. But yeah, so I mean, as soon as I hit first base, the crowd erupted. I think everyone was like, "Huh? Like what is he doing?" And then all of a sudden, the crowd sort of caught on. It's like, "Whoa, we're gonna win!" But right. So you sort of hear the crowd. The crowd's getting pumped, and you see everyone running out of the dugout, and it's a good feeling. Joe Ash was that first one right out of there. I think he was probably running faster than I was at the time.
It's possible.
But it was good. That was a fun celebration. That felt really good.
For sure. And then we talk about the playoffs, and being that you were with the Ducks for almost, it felt like the entire last decade. You had so many playoff matchups. Of course, the next year with the Somerset Patriots in the Atlantic League Championship Series. In the future, you meet Somerset 15, 16, 17, and 18 every single year in the first round. Mm-hmm. 2 out of 3 years at the end of your career, you meet Sugar Land in the championship series. And really, it ended up becoming 2 really great rivalries between the Ducks, the Patriots, and the Skeeters over those years. Of course, those 2 teams now departing the Atlantic League. They're going to become affiliates of the Yankees and the Skeeters, respectively. Talk to me about that rivalry that you had with the Patriots and with the Skeeters, and how special it was playing those games. Did you get kind of an extra bit of energy and adrenaline going into those games?
I think in some of the bigger games, definitely. Some of the regular season games, I don't know if I really felt like a real rivalry. Maybe to Somerset, especially after we had played them in the championship, and then they switched divisions. We were able to see them, and it's such a close in proximity there too. We just had so many good battles between us and the Patriots, and I think we definitely felt a bit of a rivalry there. And with Sugar Land too, is in those championships down towards the end of my time in Long Island, it did seem like we were meeting up with them in the biggest moments, and I do feel that we did have a sort of a postseason rivalry with them as well, and they've been able to put up some really good teams. They put some really good teams out on the field every year, pretty much, and they had that beautiful stadium down in Sugar Land, and we always enjoyed going down there. It was something different. Instead of getting on a bus and driving for 4 hours somewhere, you get on a plane and if you stay in a really nice hotel and in a really nice area, and it just feels a little bit different going down there. And I do feel like it was a pretty good rivalry, and I was sad to see them leave the Atlantic League. I understand the situation completely, and it makes sense for those MLB organizations to welcome those teams in. But I think it's tough for the Atlantic League, and I'm sure they'll find a couple teams to fill their spots quick.
Sure.
But yeah, I do think, especially with having those rivalries, it will be sort of tough to see that those teams aren't in the league this year or
No
this coming year.
question. No question. Definitely, it's definitely going to be different. There's no question it's going to be different looking at the Atlantic League in 2020, 2021, I should say. The last time that you were able to get on the field at Bethpage Ballpark and see everybody was, again, as we mentioned earlier, the 20th anniversary celebration last year in August. How special was it to be a part of that and to be on the same field with the likes of Ray Navarrete and Justin Davies and Bud Harrelson, all of whom had their number retired by the organization?
Yeah, that was very special. I was really glad the Ducks did that and invited me to come out. And I played with Ray, so we've got a great relationship. He went when I was at short, he was at second for most of his time while we were both on the same team. And I never got a chance to play with Justin, but I've had a chance to talk to him a lot, and I know the impact that he's had on in this program, and how he sort of led the way for a lot of players to sort of follow in his footsteps, and he led by example as being one of the leaders in the team. And it was great to have a chance to get to know him even more, and just talk with him about playing with the Ducks, about his career past the Ducks, and keep up with him about what he's up to, and just he's one of those guys, along with Ray, that you'll have that even though I didn't play with Justin, we'll always have that connection of being with the Ducks and being one of the guys that had an impact on the program and the organization's history. And it was special to get out there and being out there with Bud too. I always cherish the moments I have with Bud. He was he had a great influence on my time in Long Island. He was a great teacher to me, and talk about someone who's got a wealth of baseball knowledge and just wants to share it all the time. I've got countless stories that he told me that I'll remember forever, and so words of wisdom, things that you don't hear all the time, but coming from a player who's I think a lot like the way he played is a lot like the way I played, and he understood me, and he understood what I needed to hear. And I think we had a great connection there. And so it was great to get a chance to see Bud and to hang out with Bud again.
You talk about Bud, how instrumental was he in one of the many accolades that you accrued in your Ducks career? And that was, of course, the Gold Glove, the first ever Atlantic League player to be named the Rawlings Gold Glove Defensive Player of the Year. You got that Gold Glove on opening day of 2016. And knowing what a defensive wizard Buddy was, how instrumental was he in helping you eventually claim that hardware?
Well, he was big, especially early on in my career out there in Long Island. The way he approached the game, I think, is a lot different than the way a lot of people do. And I think the way I approach the game is very similar to how Bud did when he played. And he understood that. He understood that the way I was going to be successful in baseball is to make sure that I was the best defensive player I could be. And we'd go out and hit batting practice, and he'd hit me fungos, and he'd see something that I'm doing that he thinks I should do different. He'd stop hitting, he'd come out and he'd talk to me for a little bit, and try this, try that, and sort of talking about taking angles to the ball and whether we want to charge, whether we want to lay back on it, and he sort of saw the game the same way that I saw it, and he helped me see it better. And
Nice.
and he helped me to get into position to make good plays. You don't have to be the best. I don't have to be the best defensive player to make all the plays. I just need to make sure that I pick up the ball and throw it to first base before that runner touches the base. And sometimes as defenders, you try working too fast, and you sort of make mistakes for yourself. You get yourself in a position where you're not in a good spot to play the ball right. And Bud helped me see that. He's helped me see what the right time to to attack a ball was, and which angles I need to take, if I need to dive, or if I need to try to just bend over and pick it up, because if I dive for a ball and I don't have the time to make the throw and get the guy out, it's pointless anyway. Right. But he was very instrumental in my success as a defender. And I've said in interviews, that whenever we've talked, that that's something that I always pride myself on, is defense. And I've learned that growing up as a kid. That's something my dad always taught me, and that's something that Bud kept on feeding to me, is how important defense is, and not just by making the plays, but letting the pitchers know that they can have confidence in you to make the plays, that they don't have to go out and try to strike everybody out, that they can let the ball get put into play, and anything on the left side is going to be an out, and that's right. That's something that I think during my time in Long Island, I was able to give the pitchers confidence that, they can let the ball get put in play, and we're going to get that out.
When you sit back and you think about your 8 years in the Atlantic League with the Ducks, I know you never got that opportunity to get back to a major league organization like you had been at the beginning of your career. Does that linger at all in your mind, or at what point did you say to yourself, I've been here for X amount of years, I haven't gotten a chance to get back yet? What enabled you to say, I want to stay here, finish my career here, and have the best numbers I could possibly get while I'm here?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the goal of everyone, I think, coming into this league, especially if they've had a little taste of some affiliated ball. I was hoping when I came in, I'd be able to showcase my talents, and hopefully after 1 year get picked up and go somewhere. Or after the second year, I had a pretty good year to get picked up. That didn't happen. My 2015 year was probably my best year. And after nothing had happened there, I was like, all right, well, I was getting older. I think I was 30 or 31 at the time. I think I just turned 31 at the end of that season. Mm-hmm. And, nothing had happened in that postseason. So I figured, well, it's not going to happen. If it didn't happen now, it's not going to happen. And I was still enjoying playing. I was still good. And I figured I'll hang out as long as I can. And while I feel I still have something left in the tank, and not quite ready to move on yet. So that's what I did. I played a few more years, and then I got to the point where it's like, okay, it's time to move on. I'm in a good place. I'm happy about what I did in my career, and I got a chance to leave on my own terms. No one had to push me out the door, and right. And it was just time to move on and start my next career path. And I don't regret it at all. I wish I could have had the opportunity to get back with an MLB organization, but you know what, it just wasn't meant to be. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not meant to be for everybody. There's only a handful of people in the world that get that opportunity. And my path now is to go and teach other young players to hopefully chase their dreams. And if one of them get to that position, I'll be happy. Even if they don't, I'll be happy. I just, my job now is to make these guys the best ball players they can be, and that's good for me.
For sure. And it's giving back, to not necessarily the same community, but giving back to college age students after I'm sure you got the same or similar coaching when you were at the University of Minnesota as a ball player. Mm-hmm. So I know there's a couple of things that fans probably may not necessarily know about you besides the baseball field. And one is, of course, you're from Minnesota. You were born and bred in Minnesota, went to college in Minnesota, but you're a Green Bay Packers fan. Mm-hmm. Explain how that one came to be, and how living in the state of Minnesota where everybody seems to breathe Vikings, you're Packers.
Well, I think it just goes to show that I was very intelligent at an early age. I was able to spot out the good teams, and I ran with it. No, it's weird. I don't know exactly how it happened. My family is all Vikings fans, and I think that maybe when I was young, I saw the Packers on TV and said, "Ooh, I like that team." But I can't explain why, but I grew up, I was ever since I can remember, I was a Packers fan, and I just never, never wavered. I'm very happy with that decision.
Yeah, I'd say you should probably be happy with that decision. Some of us make decisions like that end up leading to Super Bowls and NFL MVPs, and then some of us root for the Jets. So I think you definitely made the right decision in that regard.
Yeah, it's tough for some of those Jets fans right now, and I feel for you. Even though I've never been in your shoes, Mike. Yeah. I do feel for you, and every time they step out on the field, I think about you, and I hope you're in a good place.
I appreciate you sending some good vibes our way. And if you want to, decide to send Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, we'll be okay with that too.
Hey, we gave you a quarterback before.
That's true. Well, it is what it is. And then, of course, you were on Long Island for so many years. I have to know, where were your favorite places to go? What were your favorite things to eat? Where were your favorite places to just go and visit, having been on Long Island for 8 years?
Oh, well, I didn't really get a chance to go visit a whole. I'll be honest with, when we were in season and we had a day off, I took advantage of that day off, and most of the time I'd stay in bed. My body was aching most of the time, and I tried to stay in bed, as much as I could. But I enjoy getting out a little bit. We go to the city every now and then. I enjoy. Well, I like to go eat at Bubba's. I like those burritos. My girlfriend and I, we'd go to a Mexican place in Babylon, Don Ricardo's, but they closed down. So we're pretty sad to see that happen. They actually closed down a year or two ago, I think. But we had a few spots around Long Island that we like to go to. Off days, go out east a little bit to some of the wineries, and we enjoyed that. Some nice sort of just have some calm days and just sort of relax and just sort of enjoy being out and not having to go to the park and put my body through something it doesn't have to go through.
Yeah, no, I can understand. Rest is a very important thing, especially when you're in the grind of a 140 game season. You certainly need that rest. All right. And my last question to you is, obviously we've talked extensively about the bunt. I think everybody knows about that. And if anybody asks you, that's probably the greatest moment of your Ducks career. But if you had to vote any moment besides that as the greatest moment or the most enjoyable moment while you were with the Ducks, what would it be?
Oh, let me see. That's a good question.
The bunt is just so obvious, so I have to make you think of something besides that.
Yeah, I know. It's obviously that's a big one. Probably my last game. I think my last game is definitely something I'll remember forever. And like I said before, I knew going into it that was it. My baseball career was going to be done after that game, and it just sort of, even though we lost the game, I definitely feel at peace with how my career ended. It was, I felt different. I was playing different that day. Mentally, I just sort of felt like I was outside myself. If you understand that, I felt almost like I was playing in a video game and I was watching myself from the stands. Every pitch, I saw it so well, and I had a good game. I had a home run in that game. My last at bat was a hit, which I was very happy with. My last career at bat was a base hit, and I just knew that game, nobody was gonna beat me. No one was gonna throw a fastball by me. Nobody was gonna get a base hit past me, and I did feel something different that game, and it is something that I'll always remember. And even though we lost the game, I went out on a good note, and it was certainly something that felt special to me.
And it certainly was a special career on Long Island with all that you accomplished, and of course the 2 championships, the All-Star appearances, the Gold Glove, Championship Series MVP. The list goes on and on, but. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, Dan, and I'm thankful to have you as a guest here on the show. And obviously, most importantly, best of luck to you in your new role with West Alabama. I hope all goes well and you help create some future Ducks, maybe even in your role with the team.
Possibly. Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything you've done for me and everything you've done for that organization too. You do a great job out there. And I enjoy you having these podcasts too. I was able to watch the one that you had with Lou and the one you had with John. And it was nice to see sort of their perspectives on things and get to see them talk about baseball a little bit more. So I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. My pleasure. There have been so many great alumni in Ducks history. We've already chatted with 3 of them, and there's certainly going to be many more along the way. So, Dan, it was a pleasure to have you on once again. Thank you. And to all the Ducks fans out there, happy holidays. We hope you have a wonderful holiday season and that you're all staying safe after the foot of snow we just got here this past week. So long, everybody. We'll catch you next time on Off the Fowl Pole.